Hello family, welcome back to my kitchen, and this is another edition of Tamasha the Voluptuous Veganista, and I am sponsored by www.betheevolution.org. My great friend Kevin Wesley. I want you to skip on over to his website. He also has a YouTube page here, and get you some cool gear. Get a positive message from the blogs and the videos and get you some cool gear. So with that being said, I want to thank all of you all for supporting the channel. And if you like this video, go ahead and like it, subscribe to the channel, and share. I appreciate each and every one of you, and without you there would be no channel. So we're going to jump right on ahead into this video. Tonight we are going to have, you get this right, yellow squash and green bean casserole au gratin. We're going to have cabbage steaks with portabella mushrooms and roasted potatoes. So that's a lot of stuff, so I'm going to try to keep it as short, simple, and to the point as possible, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start by putting my potatoes to roast first. And what I have here, I just took like 2 small to medium potatoes and diced them up, because there's only 2 of us, but you can adjust this amount to how many is in your family. So there's just me and the queen mother. We always have a ton of leftovers, so I'm trying to go small, although this is probably not small enough. Should probably eat 3 potato pieces. So what I'm gonna do, I have here about 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and about a half a teaspoon of sea salt. So, and it's probably too much, but I like spice. So what I'm going to do, I have my sheet lined with baking paper, parchment paper, and I have the oven on 375 degrees, and it is super warm in here. So what I'm going to do is put about 2 tablespoons or so of olive oil, all of my spices, and I'm just going to toss these around like so. Try to get everything pretty well coated. Now you can alter the spices, whatever floats your boat. Sometimes I put sage on them. My cousin came to spend the weekend with me, and I put sage on them, and she's like, oh, they're really good, but I don't like sage on my potatoes. So this time, no sage, even though she's not here, but I am using Italian seasoning. So I have these all pretty well coated, as you can see, and I am just going to put them on my parchment paper, and I'm going to throw these in the oven for about, it's 375, so I'm going to do about 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes. All right, now we got that going. Now what I'm going to do is move you over here. Okay, there we go. So now I have my eye on, and what I'm going to do, I have about 2 tablespoons of Earth Balance vegan butter in here, and I am going to take one small onion that has been sliced into thin slices, and I'm just going to put this in the skillet and saute it. Okay. Go ahead and let that get hot, and I will be back when this starts to saute. Okay, so I'm back. I got these going, and the onions are starting to become fragrant. I want them to really get a nice fry on them. So I'm going to let these cook, and we are going to go back over to the workspace. Okay, so I am back at the workspace, and what I have is another baking sheet prepared with parchment paper, and on it I have some cabbage steaks, which is just cabbage that I have sliced and put on the baking sheet because we're going to roast these off. I also have the first two leaves of lettuce or cabbage. I washed these really good. What I want to do is roast my portabella mushrooms at the same time, but I want them in a little bowl type situation. So, and it's cute. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, first of all, take some olive oil, and I am going to drizzle the olive oil all over my cabbage steaks and the little bowls that I made. So you can do this to your liking. You don't want to soak them, but you do want them to get the oil to roast. So there. Then what I have is spices. I have garlic powder, salt, and pepper. About a teaspoon or so of garlic powder. You know I love garlic. I know some of you Sebyites do not believe in garlic, but I love it. I have about a pinch, an eighth of a teaspoon or so, to me is a pinch. So I have that in sea salt and also in black pepper. So I'm going to mix these around, and just, now that they're well mixed, just going to sprinkle them on lightly. Okay, then I have about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup or so of portabella mushrooms, and I'm just going to put these into my large cabbage leaves that I have. And I'm going to hit those one more time with a little bit of olive oil. And those are now ready for the oven. So I'm going to stick them in the same oven that I have my potatoes in. It's at 375. So I'm going to put these in as well. And these, since I can't set a secondary timer, what I'm going to do is leave these in for about 25 minutes as well. So I will know when my timer goes off, because I have 16 more minutes to go. So I'll wait till the 15-minute mark, and then I will put these in as well. And when the timer goes off, I'll know to leave them in for an additional 10 minutes. Okay? So that's how you do that when you're only working with one kitchen timer. So I will be back with the squash and green beans in 1 second. I'm also going to check the onions to make sure that they are sauteing nicely. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and so you can see my onions are getting a little caramelized. So I want them like this, just a little bit deeper. So I'm going to put these back on the stove, and I am going to start on my squash mixture. Well, I'm so sick of that word mixture. My squash. Okay, so what I have here is more spices, because you know I love spices. I have about a teaspoon of parsley, about a 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary, about a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a quarter of a teaspoon or so of sea salt, and the same for black pepper. So I'm going to mix all these together and just put them on my squash. Now what I used was yellow squash that I got from the farmer's market, and they're just 2 small ones, but I took my mandolin and sliced them up. So I have 2 in here, and I got my spices, and now what I'm going to do is drizzle these with a couple tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm going to mix these up. These don't mix quite as nicely as the potatoes, so I'm going to use my spatula to mix these up. But I want to get them nicely coated so that I can get the spice palette in all of my squash, because they're going to be baked with my green beans here, fresh green beans, and we are going to be putting vegan Parmesan cheese on them and letting them bake like that. So okay, so that seems to be all mixed up now. I'm going to set this aside, and I will be back with my onions. Okay, I am back, and as you can see, my onions are nicely caramelized. So what I'm going to do is put them in my baking sheet. I have a Corningware type baking sheet, or baking pan rather, and these onions are just going to be the base of my dish. Okay, so now that I have them in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these squash, and since I slice them, I'm just going to lay them out as flat as possible in a single layer on top of my onions. And then when that bakes, that oniony flavor is going to permeate the squash. Okay, now that I have a bottom layer, pretty much, what I'm going to do now is take my string beans, right here, these are fresh green beans or string beans, whatever you want to call them, and I am going to layer them into my casserole dish. Just going to put a thin layer. Lay them side by side. This is one bunch. I don't know if it was a half a pound or a quarter of a pound or what. But like I said, I got them from the farmer's market, and they weren't really expensive. So I am utilizing them. And laying them all in here, as you can see, a nice layer. And I'm going to get all of my squash covered. I'm going to just put the remaining squash on the top. Might not be enough for a whole layer, but that's okay. And this is an excellent way to get your veggies, get it all colorful. Okay, now What I have here is a half a cup or so of vegan Parmesan cheese, which I made myself. You can buy it, but it's so super simple to do it at home. You just take cashews and a little nutritional yeast, a little garlic powder, maybe some salt and pepper. Put it in the food processor and let it get to the consistency of Parmesan cheese. I use it on everything. It is amazing. So I'm just going to sprinkle this on here. It gives everything that wonderful cheesy flavor. It is so good. All right. So now I'm just going to let this sit for a minute while my vegetables are in the oven, and I will be back when they come out and it's time for this to go in. Okay, I am back and my timer went off for the second time. The first time the potatoes weren't quite as roasted as I would like them to have been, so I left them in for 10 additional minutes along with the cabbage steaks. They are not quite done either, but what we are going to do is, since this is at 375, I have my squash and my green beans right here. I'm going to put this in the oven and let it cook for about 30 minutes. And I am going to put the top on it and have it cooking like that. So in 30 minutes, I'm going to come back. I'm going to crank the oven up to 400, 425, and I'm going to roast all of this off together. So I'm going to put this in the oven right now. Set the timer for 30 minutes. And I will be back. Okay, family, I am back. And what I have done is my casserole came out of the oven. The timer went off. It came out of the oven. So what I did was crank the oven up to 425. And I'm going to take the top off of this. And so now that my oven is to temperature, I'm going to stick all of these back in for about 5 minutes. So we will see exactly what we have. I'm going to put that on the top shelf. Put my casserole dish on the top shelf. And my potatoes, I'm going to put on the second shelf. And I'm just going to let this go for, let's say 10 minutes. And I will be back. Okay, I am back. And as you can see, the timer has gone off on my oven. So I'm going to turn that off, turn the heat off. And take everything out of the oven. So here is my squash and green beans with the encrusted vegan Parmesan cheese. My cabbage steaks with my Portabella mushrooms in the little boats. And my roasted potatoes. So what I'm going to do now is plate this all up, and I will be back with the final plate. Okay, I am back and I have it all plated up. I have my cabbage steak with the roasted portobello mushrooms, the roasted potatoes, and my green bean and yellow squash Parmesan cheese casserole type thing. Now, My plate looked a little one note to me, and it needed a pop of color. So I just added some fresh sliced tomatoes on there for that burst of fresh color. So that is it. This is my beverage, which is peach tea. So I am going to be taking pictures, but there you have it, all plated up nicely for you. I hope you enjoyed this meal as much as I did. Again, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then like it, subscribe, and share. I will be linking the information for www.betheevolution.org. Please go there and check out Kevin Wesley. He is an amazing person. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this vegan journey with me. Come along, let's take a ride. And signing off until the next time, this is Tamasha, the voluptuous veganista. Bye, family.